This swatch was a special request from a basic student who was doing lesson number 2, and this is swatch number 7, where you work a central double decrease. And I've got 21 stitches here. And when you're working the central double decrease, it's important that you have one stitch in the center. So if I've got 21, I've got 10 on this side, 10 on this side, and then I have the center stitch. Now in the instructions, it has you work a row on the wrong side, and then you're ready to start. And in the second row, it tells you to knit 1, and then to do a purl, whoops, and a knit, do that, and then 3 more times, do a purl and a knit, a purl and a knit, a purl and a knit. And that should be 10 stitches because, as I said, we're going to be doing this on the center stitch. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I've got 10 over here. That's right, I need 3 stitches to do the central double decrease. Now to do the central double decrease, or a slip 2 knit passover, it's often called, I slip these 2 stitches as if I'm going to knit them, and then I knit the next stitch. Now notice that that's a purl stitch. Am I concerned that that's a purl stitch? I don't care. I'm going to knit it. Because the 3 stitches you use for your central double decrease are always knit. Doesn't matter what they were on the previous row. So then I've got my central double decrease right here, where I've worked 3 stitches together with the center stitch on top. And now I'm going to work to the last. So there's a knit and a purl. And here's something that students are often concerned by, is that, oh my gosh, I've got a knit stitch next to that knit stitched here. I don't have a knit purl. The pattern's not maintained. I don't care. The 3 stitches in the center, they should always be knit. And the ribbing goes on either side of them. So I've got this. I work to the end. It's 9 stitches. And then I turn on the other row. Now on the right side row, I just work these stitches as they appear. So I'm going to do a purl, and here's something that people can do wrong. They get so in the rhythm of working knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl, that they just work right over those stitches on the wrong side row. You are to work these as they appear. So if this is a knit stitch, I'm going to knit it. This is a purl stitch, I'm going to purl it. And notice I've got 2 more purl stitches. Those are my center stitches. I'm going to purl them. And if you knit them, then you're going to have or purl them rather, you're going to have you knit them. On the right side row, you'll have a great big purl bump. So you don't want to do that. All right, now I think where the confusion for this particular student came in was with the next row. On the first row, it tells you to knit 1 and then do purl 2, knit and a purl, knit and a purl for a total of 4 times. If you do that, you're going to go right past this center stitch. So the instructions actually state, and I've got this out here, work row 4, work in the pattern as established until there is 1 stitch before the center decrease. Now that means you've got to look at your stitches, and I have these 3 stitches together, so I'm going to work in ribbing up to those 3 stitches. And if you need to put markers on either side of them so you don't get confused, but one way to do it is that I started with 21. I'm now down to 19. And so I want to work up to this stitch before that, and that's going to be 8 stitches. So if I work 9 stitches on the first time I did the decrease, the next time I work it, I'm going to work 8, and then 7, and then 6. And the reason I wrote that pattern the way I did is that it is similar to the type of things you can find in published patterns. And I want my students to get used to seeing information that you kind of have to look at and think about. Now I'm going to go make my second decrease here. And I'm going to be decreasing 2 stitches. Decrease, decrease, decrease. And I'm to the place where I'm 1 stitch before the center stitch. How do I know? Well, it's bumpier, and if I need to count, that's fine. And I repeat the same step. I slip 2 as if to knit, knit the next stitch, and then pass them over. And notice that this central line is staying. The stitches are decreasing on either side. Now this time I've got purl stitches on either side. But does it matter? No, because those stitches kind of disappear into this central line. So don't be concerned that you're not, on the course of this, maintaining knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, purl. You're maintaining that center stitch. That's the most important thing. Now I will do one more row. And I'm a little distracted because my dear sweet Georgie was in the hospital yesterday getting a procedure done, and he's home now, and he's doing fine, but you know, he's lethargic, and I'm just watching really closely to make sure that he's drinking water and doing all the things he's supposed to. Get very upset when our pets get sick, since they don't understand why it happens to him. Okay, there we go. So one more time. Now, am I going to follow the instructions in that row 2 instruction? No. I'm going to find my center stitch. It's right there. I can tell by looking at it. And this brings up a very important thing. As you knit, you really need to wean yourself of not ever looking at your work. Often I'll see knitters that they're so concerned with the instructions that they don't actually look at their work, and that's a mistake. The pattern could have a mistake in it. You need to use your own judgment as to whether it's looking the way it should be looking. If you have a pattern that's got a photo in it, always look at those just to make sure that you're on the right track. No matter how many times you edit and proof things, there are always going to be mistakes that go in there. Now, I've got 5 stitches here, and I need to, oh no, I'm not there yet. See, got 7 stitches before that central stitch, as I said you would. So I've got the center stitch and the purls on either side. I'm going to slip those 2 together, and do I care that it's a purl on the right side? Not one bit. Do I care that that's a purl and I'm going to knit it? Not one bit. I'm just going to go ahead. Those 3 center stitches are just whatever those 3 center stitches are going to be. And then I'm going to work to the end of the row. So I think you do this until there's a total of 13 stitches, and I'm not going to bother doing that. I think we see how it's going now, and you can see that I'm gradually decreasing 2 stitches on every right side row. So the key is as you're working this swatch, pay attention to that center stitch. It'll line up properly if you pay attention to where that stitch is. The other thing is on wrong side rows, if I see that for those center stitches I've got 3 knit stitches, 3 purl stitches here on the wrong side, purl them. Don't try and maintain this stitch pattern. The stitch pattern is maintained on either side of those 3 stitches. Those 3 stitches in the center are something special.